Hi, this is James from the Hornbill Professional Services team, and this is a short tutorial to show you how to configure unanimous authorizations. So this is using the BPM workflow, and this will apply for any kind of request that you have in there. You can actually use it with incident, change, service. So this is just anything that you can use actually a BPM workflow with that you want to set up authorizations against. So I'm using the 760 client, and it's ITSM 3414. And what I'm going to show you today is how to set this up within the BPM workflow. We're going to log a couple of test calls, what happens when authorizations are rejected when it's unanimous, and what happens when it's authorized. So I'm going to go through the actual flow with you right now. So I'm going to go into the File menu, Manage Settings and Process Settings. In this case I'm going to use service processes. Going to click off that, sorry about that. I'm going to go into the service request process. If you've gone through the other BPM YouTube videos already, that's great. If you haven't, you might want to go through that first just to get an understanding on how to set up BPM processes. So I'm going to go into the process stages. This is quite a simple process in terms of it goes straight into the authorization stage. So if we go into the authorization tab of the stage, this is where you configure it. Now we've already got a couple of videos outstanding for predefined authorizers and also authorizers on the fly. You may wish to have a look at them as well. What we're going to use in this particular instance is the option here for unanimous authorization. Now I didn't go through this on the other particular tutorial, but I'll go through this on here, and I'm just going to tell you what it does and how to configure it. So unanimous obviously means it needs everybody to agree in order to move forward. Now this is particularly for the authorization rather than rejection. So I'm going, let me just kick that off, there we are. So I'm going to just go through this in this particular order here. So I'm going to go through adding in a few authorizers. So let's say we're going to enter in a few predefined authorizers. I'm going to add in the weighting. Now the weighting isn't actually going to matter in this because it needs everybody to agree regardless. So regardless of the weighting, it needs everyone to agree to actually move forward. I've added a couple of support groups here, one for management, one for desktop team. This is just to give it a little bit of context in terms of why would you actually need everybody to agree to move on in the actual process. I mean, that could be, for example, a software request. This is what we're doing in this scenario. It could be a new starter. It might need certain people to agree to sign it off first. So I'm just going to add in a couple in here. So I'm going to add in an analyst, and then we're going to add in another one. There we go. So let's add in Tony Jackson from the desktop team. So let's say this is software. Maybe one of the desktop team needs to know that. Obviously, make sure they've got the licenses available for it. I'm also going to add in the customer's manager. So again, the weighting doesn't matter. I'm entering it as 100, but it really doesn't matter if you're doing it unanimous. Okay. The one area that it does actually matter with the actual weighting is purely for the rejection. So we'll see that in a second. So I'm going to tick the box to say unanimous authorization required. As you know, you'll need to set up these particular sections here for authorized and rejected. This is just to make sure that the BPM process does move on smoothly. So I'm going to save changes. Let's log an example call and see what happens. So I've already got a service pre-set up. There's another section on the YouTube for services if you want to watch that. I've added in a test contact for Wayne Rooney, and I've got a service for software licensing. So I'm just going to log and accept that. So that's going to automatically select my BPM process of service request. And here we go. Here's the authorization. So let's say that the customer's manager agrees to it. As you can see, the weighting's 100. So let's say save changes next to authorized. They've come through and authorized it. It's not moved on to the next stage, so it's still there. It says here the weighting level's 100, but because we set unanimous, it needs both of these other analysts to agree as well. So let's say Bob Jones also says yes, that's great, yeah, authorised, no problem. But let's say Tony Jackson for the desktop team says, well, hold on, there isn't enough licenses. Rejection. There you go. Save changes. You'll see what happens now. It's moved on unsuccessfully because someone has rejected it. Now, it doesn't need all three to reject it to move on to unsuccessfully. It can be just one. That will take the weighting into account. So let's log another call, and let's approve it this time. Just call 2. Select service. And the SLA and priority. Let's log and accept. And reopen the call. Okay, so now I'm just going to go through them and just approve all of them. There we go, that's approved. Customers managers approved. And also the desktop team's approved. So now they've all authorised, it's gone on to the next stage, which is the perform the work stage typically. So that can be quite handy, like I say, in different kind of scenarios where you do need multiple people to actually authorise it. You don't necessarily need to use the weighting, although you can use the weighting to do exactly the same thing. Perhaps certain people have more authority to actually give permission for things, but yeah, that's the main reason why you need to do it. If you do have any questions around this, please do let me know.